Hi, and what is up, my Jammer and Jamette fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Cam Sports Jam. Alongside me, Steven Berkheimer, my co-host, Brad Cameron here, ready to get into some sports knowledge. But before we begin, shout out to our sponsors. Love our sponsors. Thank you guys so much. Good Samaritans Medical Transport, LLC. For all your medical transport needs, call Good Samaritans Medical Transport, service that exceeds expectations. It's Wednesday today, Steven. It's Wednesday, but not just any Wednesday. It's Wednesday before the Masters. This is a Masters preview show, my Jammer fans. For all you golfer fans out there, we're going to dive into some big golf stuff. Rocking my Masters hat today. Excited about the tournament. First major of the year for the PGA Tour season. Always big implications. You know, tradition that goes on with the Masters so much. I mean, you can go on and on about the history and what comes with playing in this tournament and winning this tournament. But before we go too far, before we get into too much golf, and we're going to get to that later, I want to start with the conclusion of the NCAA tournament and specifically the bracketology for the Cam Sports Jam Challenge. Have to give out some love to Maria Albert and her Meeks on Fleek bracket that won the Cam Sports Jam Challenge. Maria had picked Villanova to win the national championship, and they did on a crazy buzzer beater. We're going to talk about it later, but congratulations.
Congrats,
Maria Albert, 108 points in your Cam Sports Jam Bracket Challenge. She's going to be making a guest appearance on our show. Thank you for participating. For all of our Jammer fans who participated, thank you so much. I hope you had fun. You know, watching kind of the rise and fall was a crazy tournament, and so I mean things went up and down very quickly, often. So absolutely crazy. But congrats, Maria pulled it out. Josh Rose in second place with 84 points, along with myself, 84 points, tied for second. But tremendous tournament. You know, every team that was in there played hard. It was so much fun to watch. This year was exciting. But let's talk about some of our local teams. We'll do our local section. We want to focus again on these teams, some that we're proud of and some that we want to forget. First things first, let's forget Wizards. 4 games left to play. 3.5 games back. You know, we've been saying this for weeks that we're pretty much ready for them to just be done. Steven, what?
No, I agree with that. I thought we'd actually make it, by the skin of our teeth, but I can see now that we weren't prepared, and hopefully we'll lose the rest of our games.
I mean, hopefully, even if we don't, we're not going to make the postseason. This team doesn't want to make the postseason. We lost on the road, Sacramento. It would be a miracle for them to get in now, and I don't even think I want them to get in now. They sat John Wall.
No, I think that we have an idea that we're not going to make the playoffs. That's that's why we sat him. So,
well, absolutely.
I'm hoping that we don't make the playoffs now.
I mean, there's virtually no way. There's virtually no way. And this team doesn't necessarily deserve to be in the playoffs. You know, there's almost no way. But I almost don't. It's not even like they're playing good ball, and I'm like, man, if we could just creep in, it could be close. If they could just creep in, no, they would just embarrass themselves and lose first round anyway. So what's the point of losing out on a potential draft pick
or somebody getting hurt?
Or someone getting hurt. I mean, yeah, look at last year. After having a great opening series, John Wall got hurt. And then we went on to lose the next series. But either way, 4 games left, 3.5 back. It's all but a certainty that we are done. So Wizards, take it to the couch. Regroup. It's over. You guys blew this season. I don't know what fully was going to come out of this season, but I don't even know if we're going to get any kind of attention for Kevin Durant, which was a highly advertised thing, almost a championship for us this season, was landing Kevin Durant, not necessarily winning a championship, but it looks like all that is all gone to the wind. I mean, this season ended up being such a flop, such a disappointment, and Kevin Durant has voiced that he is virtually not interested.
Yeah, everything that could have gone wrong for us in terms of courting him went wrong. We missed the playoffs by, a handful of games, and KD's no longer interested. So, rough year for Wizards and the Wizards fans, but, hopefully we'll bounce back.
And let's see. Fortunately for us, the East is weak, and we can bounce back and we'll play a little bit better. We can make the playoffs next year, but let's regroup and wait to discuss that till a later time. Let's move on to the Skins. Last week we talked acquisition that they had, Vernon Davis, tight end position. Didn't know what the deal was for, assuming it was something small, and it is. It's relatively small. 1.35 mil guaranteed, 2.4 million in incentives for Vernon Davis. Kind of a small contract for a veteran, possibly locker room type guy. Welcome back home, Vernon Davis. We both went over how we felt about having him back, and this deal doesn't look to be too detrimental. That I'm still on board with having him part of this team and willing to embrace him into an offense that's built around kind of a wide receiver type tight end. And so I'm happy with this.
I'm not unhappy with it, but I think that we signed him for more money than I anticipated. So they must plan on him having a bigger role than I envisioned. But I'm not running the offense out there.
There's no Hainsworth deal.
No, but it's still is he worthy of that? I don't think he's worthy of that yet.
I think he still has the potential to easily give us 1.35 mil.
Okay.
But I mean,
guaranteed, and then he's not gonna fulfill the 2.4. We'll see what he does. I guess we'll see when he gets out there. But
I mean, we will. But
I think we're kind of going back to our Redskins ways, overpaying for somebody who hasn't produced in the past couple of years.
But overpaying is just 1 year, 1.35 million. It's not even that much. I mean, you can't pay him under $1 million. He's Vernon Davis.
You could easily. Look at his stats.
In the last 2 years, they've been crap.
Okay.
But
we're not getting him 3 years ago. We're getting him tomorrow.
He's playing with the two worst offensive teams in the last 2 years. I mean, San Fran was relatively a joke. Denver was a joke last year offensively. No respect. You won the Super Bowl. I hear you, but that was virtually all defense. I mean, the Skins, I feel like, is a much better offense than the last two teams he's played on. I would anticipate that he could easily give us $1.35 million worth of production this year on a much better offensive team. We shall see. We'll move on. Nats. Baseball's underway. Had their first game on the road against Atlanta. One of our foes. People we don't like, but found out a way to win. 1-0. Continued our winning ways. Spring training was fantastic for us. Played really well. We were awesome. We won 4-3 in extras, but you got to give credit to Atlanta, and everyone's kind of feeling everything out with getting back in the swing of things. Scherzer looked
very good.
Good.
I thought
went 7, gave up a couple homers, 2 homers, but still looked good. Pitched very well. I think still had above 7 strikeouts.
Yeah, 7 Ks.
7 Ks. So 4-3 win. We're not going to speculate too much about this. We're just happy that they won, and I look behind me. We're up 3-1 against the Braves again, and the bottom of the ninth. Let's see if we can close it out. We'll keep you updated. Moving on. Caps. Getting close to crunch time. 55, 17, and 7. 117 points. Still all the accolades that we've already accomplished. President's Trophy and all whatnot. Home ice. As you Jammer fans know, Caps are doing work this year. Holtby sitting on 47 wins. Had a chance against the Islanders. Sadly didn't get it done. Up 3-1. And we lost in OT. Lots on the line for the Islanders. Not as much on the line for the Caps outside of Holtby's record season that he could have breaking Brodor's 48-win season. Holtby at 47 wins. We have 3 games left. We want Holtby to get this record. Come on, Caps. Get it done. Holtby, baby. C-A-P-S. Rock the red. Does he get it done? We still have Pittsburgh to play. St. Louis. Home against Anaheim. And the KM Sports Jam will be at that show. Or at that game.
I hope so. I'm hoping that, because we'll sit him against the Blues, I'm presuming.
Okay.
Pitt's on fire. I think they've won 7 straight and then 13 of 14. So I would be maybe sitting against Pitt and then starting against the Blues, and then having them start against the Ducks. I'm not sure what Barry Trotz has in mind, being that being the last regular season game before the playoffs. But with Holtby being good at home, I can see him starting against the Pens and then going from there. But I think if he doesn't win his next start, I don't see us starting him again in order for him to either tie. Well, it would be to tie. But I do hope that if he does tie the record in one of the next 2 games, that he is given the opportunity, because he's played out of his mind this year, and I think that he deserves it. So.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more that I want to see this happen. Like, I really want to see this happen, not only for Holtby, but for the Caps. I mean, everyone's put together such a tremendous season, from Kuzi's growth, Ovechkin's having a great season, Backstrom's playing extremely well. Everyone, even for Trotz, like, he's really turned this environment around, and we've elevated ourselves even more than what we've been doing in the previous years. We found a way to even get better, and we look really good. So I want to see this happen, but I think Trotz may be in the mindset where he doesn't want to lose focus on what the ultimate goal is. Getting Holtby this record would be fantastic. That is not what Trotz set out this season to do. I think if it doesn't happen, if we're not close against Pitt, like if we win against Pitt and Holtby's in net, I think Trotz plays him in one of the last 2 games. If we lose against Pitt, I think Trotz sits him and says, hey, look, just rest up. Don't think about any of this. Rest up. Let's get ready for the main event. Let's get ready for the Stanley Cup playoffs, and let's do what we set out to do. Right now, currently, seeding-wise, looking like we're going to match up against Philly, against the Flyers. 2-0-2 on the season against the Flyers. So relatively comfortable seeing the Flyers. Our former goalie is their netminder. I'm comfortable with that matchup right now, and I think Trotz is also. And so, I want Holtby to get this win, and I want Holtby to get that record, but I think Trotz doesn't want to lose focus on what the mission is this season. And therefore, I don't know if he gets it. It's all very indicative of what happens against Pittsburgh. And like you said, they're playing good hockey. They're playing very good hockey. So who knows what could happen in that game. Well, we got more to talk about. But like I said, we're going to break down National Championship a little bit. And of course, we got Masters talk to cover. So don't go anywhere, Jammer fans. You're watching the Jam. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Jammer fans. Thanks again to our sponsors. Love you all. This one in particular, Silver Spring Social Sports. It's a 21 and up social sports league. It includes games such as kickball, softball, soccer, football, dodgeball, and volleyball. If you want to get involved in any of these games, go to silverspringSocialSports.com. Like I said, it is a 21 and up sports league. So have to be 21 years old. Come out for recreation, come out for competition. They have different levels for you. So just feel free to sign up, silverspringSocialSports.com. Thank you again to our sponsors. Update. Nats, 3-1 over the Braves. Win again. 2-0 right now. Papelbon, 2-0.
2 for 2.
Well, 2 for 2 on saves. I mean, happy with this. Like I said, we don't want to jump to any kind of anything, but still picking up where we left off in spring training. Still looking good, winning games. I know it's early. I hear you. But, it's not 0-2.
No,
If it was 0-2, we'd be rolling our eyes and be like, oh, yeah.
no, that was towards those spring training thing.
Oh.
So, but no, I'm definitely happy with the way that we're playing right. Our starting pitching's pitched very well.
Oh, very well.
Yeah.
Strasburg and Scherzer have looked fantastic.
Well done.
Obviously.
Absolutely.
Clap, clap, clap. Congratulations. 2-0. I mean, this is what we need from you guys to win games. So, perfect. All right, let's move on. First things first. Saw college basketball, like we said, start the show. National championship. Before that, let's dive into the Terps a little bit. Announcement came out. Diamond Stone is declaring for the NBA draft. Is this going to start a waterfall type of effect for all the other players who were sitting on the fence whether or not to go pro, a.k.a. Trimble and a.k.a. Carter, because I know Layman and Suleiman were seniors anyway and they were leaving. But is this something that is going to happen now between the others who weren't seniors? What do you see?
I mean, the way that it's, allowed now is that everybody can declare as long as they don't sign an agent. So my personal belief is you declare until you either can improve your value, or if you're going to get drafted, in a position that you feel is comfortable with how you see your talent, then go for it. But I'm hoping, no offense, Diamond, that he doesn't get the draft pick that he could next year if he stayed. And I'm hoping that actually affects Melo's decision. As much as I've been a non-advocate of Melo and his antics this year, I do think that Diamond Stone, if he stays one more year, will definitely be a higher pick in next year's draft, and that hopefully, and I think it will, influence Melo to stay another year as well.
I agree with you, but I just don't know. It's so hard to tell because these guys all season have been so up and down, and it's they started off the year with this draft stock that kind of, for Trimble, draft stock that kind of picked off where they left up last year, and his draft stock was out of the roof. It's like, this kid's incredible, and now they had Stone, preseason number 1. They have to be incredible, but didn't live up to all the hype. Maybe we weren't fully healthy. Whatever the situation may be, didn't live up to the hype is the final statement. After that much hype, Sweet 16 really, as much of an accomplishment as that is, fellas, congratulations. But that's not what we were gunning for, and I think you guys know that as well. That is not what you were gunning for when this season began. And so, is there a potential to come back, show, kind of what you have and grow your stock? Absolutely. I feel like everyone's stock has completely depleted, it's virtually gone, but once these recruiters start putting out their mock drafts and all these analysts from ESPN start putting out their mock drafts, these kids will see this and they'll be like, well, okay, I'm still a first rounder. I must have done well this year. When looking at it, no, you really didn't. You really kind of just did mediocre. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat. Won some games that you were tough, but lost some games that you really could have toughed out, but you didn't. So I think it's best if they all came back. Carter, Trimble, and Stone. Obviously, this would be a fantasy, if they would all come back. But I think they need to. I really think they need to, based on what I saw from them this season. Stone looked a little tentative towards the end of the season. He started getting a little bit more aggressive, a little more assertive. But Trimble looked just shaky. Some games were solid, and then sometimes it was so forced and not pretty. And Carter just looks like he needs to kind of grow his game, especially in the rebounding area, because for his size, he should be pulling a lot more boards than he does. And that is one thing that hurt Maryland all year is our rebounding. So, looking at these guys and Stone and his announcement, I hope, that they don't sign agents so that they can still be available to come back and showcase themselves in a better way. Not that I'm not proud of what they did as Maryland Terrapins. Thank you guys for everything you did this year. But I think you have more in you, and I think you can show that you have more in you. And I would love to see you guys come back and grow your talents and represent yourselves and the University of Maryland in the way that was kind of hyped. That's kind of my take on it.
I think they should come back because, no offense to Sheet, I think he was the leader that we needed this year, and he definitely helped Melo, develop in different ways. But with Suleiman leaving and Layman leaving, I think Melo can get back to his mindset to where he needs to be the leader of this team, and he needs to put in the buckets. I don't think that he was confident in his shot this year. And then with him and being with Ivan Stone, I think those two, their draft stocks are going to skyrocket. With Sheed and Layman, I don't think it's going to be, passing the ball around, everybody gets a touch, everybody gets their 6-7 shots. I think next year it'll be the Stone and Melo show as long as they come back, and I think it'll be better than, I guess, what most people would anticipate.
Well, sure. I think you're right. I mean, they were extremely effective in the pick and roll this year, despite whatever bad stats we had, turnover or rebounding wise. When it came to Stone and Trimble running the pick and roll, they did a fantastic job. They virtually led the NCAA in like points per transaction when it came to the pick and roll between those two. And it can be better, and it can still be better. And they could come back and they could really dominate and really showcase their NBA type ability to run the pick and roll, to show that they can play all aspects of the game. I can't agree with you more. I think it would be beneficial for them to come back and really have a second chance at exposing how good they can be to all the NBA recruiters and NBA teams. So hopefully that happens. It's a little bit of a stretch, but hopefully it happens. We'll see. Who needs money? National championship. Villanova, North Carolina. We both took North Carolina. We were both wrong. Villanova won 77-74, as you all well know. Chris Jenkins, buzzer beater. Well drawn play by Jay Wright. Kind of had him trailing and kind of flipped it to him, and then the kid hit the shot. You got to give the kid credit. Hit the shot from Upper Marlboro. Shout out, Maryland guy. Congratulations hitting that shot. But, interesting officiated game, in my opinion. Didn't really like how it was officiated. I thought the officials called a lot of tic-tac fouls. I thought it slowed down the game a lot. Not that I'm saying the outcome would have necessarily been different, but possibly, because North Carolina likes running a little bit more of an up-paced game, and when you're calling all these ticky-tacky fouls, you're stopping the clock all the time, and there's all these breaks. It gets both teams out of rhythm, really. But especially a team like North Carolina that feeds off momentum, feeds off scoring in bunches. So I really kind of was disappointed at the way this was officiated, but it went both ways. I think Nova had 4 more foul calls on their side, but they were all just ticky-tack fouls where it's like, man, do you need to whistle that? Like, are we blowing the whistles again? Like, can't we just let these kids play? Let these kids dictate the game, This is a constant argument that goes on with officiating where it's like, don't let the officiating get in the way of the game, and I think this was a classic case of that. Now granted, that shot is going to be remembered. I mean, this was a tremendously well-played basketball game on both sides. North Carolina had some crazy shots coming down the stretch. I mean, Marcus Page in that double clutch shot, tremendous. And then Jenkins with the buzzer beater, tremendous. Heart rate was going up and down. It was fun. It was a very fun game, but it just, I just can't help to think that the officials kind of affected this game a little bit in a negative way. Steve, what are your thoughts on that?
I agree with you in that sense. I'll give credit where credit's due. Villanova made the shots that they needed to make. Beautiful play drawn up by Jay Wright. Jenkins nails it. It was a great play by Nova, but at the same time, I have to agree with you. It seemed like the game lasted 3 hours because every time you looked up at the screen, there was a foul somewhere, and I don't agree that the fouls are equivalent in terms of, I guess, abuse or what you would say in North Carolina versus Villanova, but basketball's basketball. I guess a foul's a foul. So whether you hit them hard, if it's not a flagrant, I thought it was tic tac too, but I can't take it away from Villanova. They played the game that they were dealt, so they took care of business when they needed to. So congratulations to the Wildcats.
I mean, I think we said early that who has the most to prove. I believe Villanova was a team that was on that list of who has the most to prove, and I think they shut us up pretty good. So congratulations, Villanova. Tremendous
They
effort.
heard my call out, I guess.
There you go. They're like, hey, Stevie. Who? Oh, you don't know about us? Well, game winner, clank. So congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations, Villanova again. It was a fantastic game. It will be one for the ages.
Absolutely.
We will remember that shot and kind of where we were and whether people were spilling beer all over the floor. we will remember where we were that night. Let's talk about college basketball. Kind of gets overshadowed a little bit is the women's game, in a sense, but UConn women's won their fourth straight national title the night after that game.
Is that good?
I mean, it's not bad. Anytime you win 4 in a row, it's not terrible. Incredible. Dominance. Absolute dominance. I mean, they're 115-1 in their last 116 games. 75 straight wins. Fall of 2014 was their last loss versus Stanford. Their last loss was versus Stanford in the fall of 2014. I'm sure some of you maybe can't even remember that far back. Incredible. This team is just absolutely insane. And I want to honor them for what they're doing. Congratulations. You guys are doing great. But I want to bring up, kind of a sore type subject. When you're arguing men's and women's sports, this is something that's going to go on for a long time, and most recently is the women's U.S. national soccer team not making as much money as the men's national soccer team. But there's always controversy in women's and men's sports, and so does this UConn and women's national national scene get overshadowed by the men's? And is it good that UConn is winning this much, or is it make people not even want to watch because they know the outcome? How do you feel about this? Is this good for women's basketball or bad?
I think it's good for women's basketball because otherwise I don't think we'd be talking about it. It's not me saying this. I am saying this, but it's not me determining who's watching this and who's not watching this, who's talking about it, who's not talking about it. But I think that if UConn wasn't on this dominant streak, then I don't think we'd be talking about it much. Women's sports don't get much publicity. People don't talk about it as much. That doesn't mean they're not playing as hard or giving it their all. But at the same time, I think being in a women's sport is easy to be dominant at because the talent level is so dispersed. The top girls are the top girls. Where in basketball, you can have the top 100 and the difference maybe, we'll say A- to B+.
Well, absolutely. We've seen way less parity in the women's NCAA tournament versus the men's. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I just think, I think the dominance will continue until, I don't know. I don't see why UConn won't dominate for the foreseeable future. If you get the best recruits, you have the best coach. Okay, let's go Lady Terps. But no, I don't see, because they get the best recruits, they have the best coach. He essentially picks his players. There are only a select number of good female basketball players coming out of high school, and he gets to pick whoever he wants. Whereas basketball, there's a top 100, and they all go to different schools, and you see teams upset each other all year. But for women's basketball, it's kind of chalk all the way through the tournament.
See, absolutely, and I hear what you're saying, and I do agree with you to a sense, and I do think you're right. I think it does draw attention. Any publicity is publicity. Whether it's negative or positive, it is still publicity. So maybe we wouldn't be talking about it if they hadn't been winning so much, but they are winning so much. But I'm going to take the other side anyway, just to make it interesting. You know, I look at this and I wonder why only UConn is good enough. And Tennessee used to kind of be the same way a little bit, you know, when they had Candace Parker and they were pulling in people and they were fantastic.
Yeah, with Pat Summitt.
With Pat Summitt, you know, of course. But why can't there be better diversion? Is there not enough coaching? Is it all Gino? Is there not enough coaching throughout the women's game that makes players want to go to other organizations? I know there's not as much emphasis on a future career, and almost the women's national championship is bigger than the women's NBA playoffs.
Right.
You could almost argue that. And so maybe this is the biggest stage, and they're like, I want to go to the Lakers of the women's, or I want to go to the Celtics of the women's, you know, most credible type organizations.
I thought you were saying the Wizards for a second.
No, I skipped over them quickly. That didn't even resonate, sadly. But, you know, maybe that is the way these girls look at it, where it's like, this is my one chance to really, really be in the light. But, you know, you look at teams in the men's where it's like, oh, I can go to Kansas. I can go to Kentucky. I can go to Duke. I can go to North Carolina. I can go to Michigan State. You know, you look at a lot. There's a lot of places you can go with talented coaches who can grow you, who can grow your talents. And maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe it's just Gino is almost the only one who can grow their talents enough to where they can go to the next level. 'Cause, I mean, they have ambitions.
You mean get you a championship is essentially what you're saying.
Get you a championship, or I mean, look at the people who are dominating the WNBA. You know, outside of Delaware's, you know, power forwards.
Well, Delle Donne.
Yes, I mean, you have Taurasi, who was doing work. Moore, who's doing work. I mean, you got, you know, Brittany Griner out there at Baylor, but now you have Brianna Stewart, who's probably going to be doing work. Like when she's gone, you know, and she's won four titles. When she's gone,
many UConn players' names there.
I mean, yes, absolutely. You know, I just wonder. I wonder why no one wants to pursue anything else. And I know they want that excellence and that prestige and that clear title. I mean, 75 straight wins. So they don't even lose. Like, yeah, I'll go there. I don't want to lose. No one likes losing, of course. But I can't help but think that this is going to end poorly. Like you know, I'm going to take the side of it's becoming too much where people aren't even going to care. They're going to be like, oh, who's playing? Yeah, UConn's going to win. No, like no one even cares. You know, and I know there's going to be a lot of people who are going to want to watch and be like, please lose. Please lose this game. Like, they're going to want to see them lose. But I still think eventually it will be kind of dust in the wind, where it's like until another team rises up and beats them, that will be big news in women's basketball. But UConn winning again, like, isn't big news. I think it's just like everyone looks at it like, yeah, probably. Sounds about right. But the moment that someone beats them, that's going to be big news. And I think there needs to be more of an uprise in that sport. And I think that goes for every sport. You know, it can't be just total dominance, you know, and maybe you're right. We wouldn't be talking about it if there was more, you know, level play where maybe Indiana women's won and everyone's like, you know, okay, that sounds good. No offense, Indiana women's, I just threw that out there. But, you know, maybe it is more interesting that you have a team that's so dominant where everyone's kind of watching them tightly and being like, ooh, when are they going to lose? Ooh, you know.
Yeah, or even for the better, that they went 4 for 4. The girls that were there for 4 years won 4 championships. I think that's amazing, you know.
Yeah, amazing for UConn fans. What about for all the other girls, all the other teams?
Play better.
Play better. Well, Stevie brings up a good point where, I mean, yeah, we're talking about it right now. And congratulations to this women's team. I'm not trying to knock them at all, but I'm kind of on the side a little bit where I'm like, this is slightly embarrassing for all the other women who are playing this game, where how can you not elevate a little bit, muster up a little bit of effort, and this is all sitting from my chair. Like, I understand I'm not out there playing against these girls. These are talented basketball players. But, it's just like, when is someone kind of going to step up and say, hey, who is that, UConn? I don't care who that is. Like, I don't care what you've done. I don't care that you have your rings all over your hands while you're playing basketball. Like, we're here to win games, and we're going to do what it takes to win. And I know that comes with talent. It's going to have to be a talented team to bring them down. But, for me, I look at it as slightly kind of sad for the women's game, where they are on such another level and everyone else is just mulling around down there somewhere. Like, I mean, really, like, that's kind of the way it is. Well, before we talk Masters, let's take one more break. Shout out again to our sponsors. You're watching The Jam. We're back with the Camp Sports Jam. Here, our third sponsor, Junk Masters. Our business is picking up. It's away. It's tracking. And it's good. There's a birdie. Thanks again, Junk Masters, our third sponsor. Love you all. Thank you so much. Junk Masters, our business is picking up. Let's dive in to our Masters preview show that we have here. The main thing we want to talk about, just so much tradition that goes on with this tournament. I mean, I can go on and on and on about, what goes on with this tournament and what it means to all these guys on tour, and when they're growing up, and it's we want to win the Masters, like all these guys in the field share the same passion for winning this honor and what it really means as being one of the world's most elite to come away with the green jacket here at Augusta. But first things first, today, Wednesday, is the par 3 contest. And traditionally, whoever wins the par 3 contest does not win at Augusta. It's never happened. It's never happened. Anyone who has won the par 3 contest has not won the actual 4-day event, which is the Masters. Has never won the green jacket. And this year's winner, Jimmy Walker, who's a good player, who I bet a lot of people are thinking will finish really, really, well in this tournament, shot a course record 8 under, but the record states that
he will be walking right by the podium.
He may not even make the cut. Sorry, Jimmy Walker, you should have missed that last putt. But 8 hole ones today. New record also for the par 3 contest. Previous record was 5. 8 hole ones today. Gary Player made a hole in one. Jimmy Walker had a hole in one. Ricky Fowler had a hole in one. Justin Thomas had a hole in one.
2 in the same group.
2 in the same grouping. Thomas and Fowler. It was a fun day. Like, the par 3 contest is so much fun. It's relaxed. It's the calm before the storm. Before these guys take on Augusta and take on Amen Corner. This is their chance to relax, go out there with their families, their friends, who caddy for them, who hit some shots for them. Their kids go up there, they putt. It's a very, very nice, peaceful thing that they do here on Wednesday. It's fun to watch. Everyone's in good spirits. Don't have their kind of like, gamesmanship hats on. They have their fun, spirited golf, hats and smiles on. Beautiful picture, beautiful picture. But let's go over, the actual tournament. All the fun is over now. Now it's time to get down to business. And you look at some of the leaders who people think will win this golf tournament, guys such as A. Scott, who's leading the FedEx Cup in points right now, who won it, a couple years back, ready, absolutely poised, ready to go, playing, so far, fantastic this year. Like I said, leading the FedEx Cup in points. Phil Mickelson, leading the tour in scoring, is scoring the best on tour right now, has won the green jacket 3 times. So he could be poised, ready to win. Obviously, it looks like he started his 2016 year extremely well, ready to go. Jason Day, number 1 in the world, has to be fan favorites in a lot of, in a lot of pools and a lot of whatever scenarios people have to be considering. Jason Day, he's had tremendous finishes here at Augusta, does play well. Now he's got the chip off his shoulder of winning a major, won the PGA Championship, knows what it takes all 4 days to compete at the highest level in order to win this honor. Jordan Spieth, defending champion, won the Masters last year, then won the U.S. Open also last year, has 2 majors under his belt last year. Absolutely ready to go this year as well. Got to give him a shot. Bubba Watson won the event 2 times. The course sets up well for him. Very creative mind. Sees golf differently than a lot of other guys. Then you got guys like Ricky Fowler, who have played solid all year. Made the cut in all 5 appearances at Augusta. Knows how to manage his golf ball around that course enough to give himself a chance on Sunday. And you got guys like McIlroy, had chances to win it, kind of collapsed at Augusta, but a lot of guys have done that. You look at Greg Norman, who also had quite a few collapses in major events where he had chances to win. Could have won a lot more, but ended up succumbing to pressure. And there's tons of pressure that goes on with this golf tournament. So, Stevie, what do you got for me? Who do you see rising to the top, stomaching it all? The pressure, the difficulty of the game, stomaching everything, coming out on top. Who puts on the green jacket?
As you mentioned before, I think this course sets up perfectly for Bubba and his game. But on the other side, I have to go with our man, Slick Ricky Fowler. I think he pulls it out. He's finished tied for 5th and tied for 12th the past 2 tournaments. He's had 4 top 10 finishes this year. And out of the past 2 years, the only 3 people that have cumulative scores better than him are McIlroy, Rose, and Spieth. So if he plays his typical game, he'll probably cut that down to just himself. And I think when it comes down to the cut on Sunday and everybody else's cut, I think Ricky stands out. And he fits that green jacket perfectly.
Wow. Okay, that's a bold pick. I read an article actually that had Fowler as number 1 in his power rankings for winning the green jacket. So you're not in bad company. There's other people who agree fully with you that think this is his time. He's played well this year. He's been competitive before at Augusta and been competitive in major events of recent. So we understand the pressures that go along with this. Now, overcoming those pressures and actually winning is a completely different thing. But there are people who agree with you that he will do it this time. And he will, stomach it all, like I said. And he will fight through whatever it takes to win this tournament. And I like that pick. I'm a huge fan of Ricky. I would love to see him win as someone who has never won a major. He had a great showing at the Players Championship last year. Crazy run to finish the tournament. I mean, like 7 under through the last 8 holes. Something absolutely insane. He can go on runs. Like, this guy can play some golf. It's incredible watching him play. But I'm going to go in a different direction. There's one major that really has eluded McIlroy. He had a chance to win here several years back. Slipped through his fingers. Found a way to win the U.S. Open in dominating fashion at Congressional. One of our courses close to home here, as a DC sports show that we have here. Congressional, not far at all. McIlroy has won majors. He knows what it takes to win majors, and I think he knows what it takes to win here at Augusta. And he's had consistency this year. I think he's tied with Fowler for top 10 finishes this year as well, with 4. I think he's tied for first with Fowler for top 10 finishes this year. And he's looked a lot better. And I think he's focused. And I think there's not a lot of pressure riding on him. I think majority of the pressure is on Day and on Spieth. And I think McIlroy is kind of sitting there in the shadows and can kind of just play his game, and there's not as much hype and pressure focused around him. And I'm going to take McIlroy to win the green jacket this year, and he's been close before. And I think this is the year that he finally settles down, and the weather doesn't look to be very nice. Atypical of what it usually is here at Augusta. Let me pull up the weather forecast for us here, Steve. degrees of 52, 46, and even 39 on the weekends as the lows. These are lows. But for the people who are teeing off in the morning, they're going to have to suffer through some of these temperatures where the golf ball simply doesn't go as far when it's cold. And the wind's going to be blowing. We're looking at 19, 18 mile per hour winds, almost all 4 days. And so the elements are going to play a factor. And I think you're going to have to be a little bit of a big ripper because Augusta is long. They've lengthened this course in the last 3 years. You're going to have to be a big ripper in order to finish high in this golf tournament. You look at other performances such as Zach Johnson back in 2007, where he won the green jacket, but it was on a very, very difficult course where the conditions were bad again. It was wet, very, very wet and relatively cold, and he laid up on all the par fives. Didn't go for any of the par fives and two, laid up, and it was a smart play, and he was able to win the green jacket that way. I don't think that is possible again, even though the conditions aren't going to be great out there this year. I still think you're going to have to be able to reach some of these par fives. You're going to have to tempt them in order to give yourself chances at eagles, and almost easy birdies. The greens are going to be tough, and with the winds blowing like they predict they will be, you're going to have to factor in some wind on these putts too. For how slick those greens are, you really do need to factor in the wind. And McIlroy's been putting well, and I think he's a bomber where he can dominate golf courses in that sense with his length. And I think he's going to come away with the green jacket. Now, I hear your Masters pick, Stevie, but can you give me a dark horse? This is, kind of just off the cuff. Give me a dark horse where you're like, solid game.
Oh, good question.
This guy could win it.
Yeah, I've actually thought about this one a decent amount, and I'm going to take Hideki Matsuyama. I think, it's not his time to shine, but I think he puts out a solid performance, and I'm kind of rooting for him. So.
Tremendous talent. I think that's a good pick. I'm gonna go in a direction of a Tour Championship winner, FedEx Cup Championship winner, Bill Haas, who I think doesn't get enough credit for really how good he is. He has the length to handle this golf course as well, and I think if he can settle down, make some putts, there's my dark horse right there, Bill Haas. So good luck, Bill. Good luck, Rory. Good luck,
Ricky and Hideki.
Good luck, Fowler. Good luck, Hideki. It should be a tremendous tournament. Don't miss any of it. Tune in. Watch it, especially on Sunday. I guarantee it's going to be incredible, Jammer fans. So don't miss any of the action. Also, don't miss Holtby. Doing work. Let's go, Holtby. Let's go, Caps. Let's win this. Last couple games for Holtby. Let's get him the record. Beat Martin Brodeur. Holt Beast.
In addition to the Masters, check us out. We're on the Nats and the Caps game on Sunday.
Nats and Caps game. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Twitter. We'll be at both events, and we'll be posting. So, if you want updates, we will give you updates. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. BCAM Sports Jam. We will be at these events watching them on Sunday. So, we have our picks. They're in. We're going to wait, see what happens. That's all we have for you guys today. Thank you, Jaren fans, for watching again. Can't thank you enough to our sponsors, Silver Spring Social Sports, Good Samaritans Medical Transport, Junk Masters. You guys have been a tremendous help. Can't thank you enough. Jaren fans, as always, thanks for watching. Reminding you, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Thanks for jamming with us.